Hi, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. I wanted to look at the month of September from a Kabbalistic, numerological, astrological perspective. And so I'm probably going to be able to get a couple of things that happen within the first 7 days where we can look at it more closely. I'll do an overview of the month as well, and we'll review the Tree of Life and where the vibrations are found on the Tree of Life this month. So let me um, let me get that started here. Okay, so before we dive into this, I just want to welcome my new subscribers. Thank you for joining this great community of people. My tried and true have been with me for years. My Patreon folks, thank you so much for your continued support. And the new members on my channel, thank you so much. It's really an honor to share what I know with everyone. So, all right, let's get started. And hold on one second here. Okay, it's the technology stuff. And I have to like get it's like I'm like an old car when it comes to technology. I I have to like you have to give me a little push start, I start off slow and then I take up and then I start to jazz up. Okay. So we're gonna look at the Kabbalah of September 2025. And this is just a symbol of the tree of life, reminding us that we are all connected. As above, so below, as within, so without. And so if we find ourselves in a sense of peace and harmony and being okay with the world, not being okay with what's going on in the world necessarily, but just being okay with the world as it is, um, I think we're in a better stead. We're in better stead, and then working to improve. All right, so we're in a non-universal year. 2025 has been a year where we have been tasked, I guess, to separate out truth from fiction, what we want in our life, what we don't want in our life, what baggage we're willing to carry, and which we are not. And in the process of any 9-year cycle, this 9-year cycle, that we're in the 9 year of began in 2017. That was a 10-1 vibration. That was the Wheel of Fortune. We spun the Wheel of Fortune and we won Donald Trump. We wanted change. We wanted change. We had hoped that Obama could bring the change that we wanted. But, we were asking a lot of a Black man to face off against the powers that be. It's actually, I think, taken somebody like the Iranian influence of the current 45, 47 um, for us to break through. And ultimately, while it seems like those folks who have the most are the best off in this situation, they're going to realize that they're not, and that this guy sold them a bill of goods that are not possible. And of course, their greed takes over and they want to push it as far as they can. But, in a way, Trump is the devil. Just Trump is a devil. Not, I'm not just saying he's, the choice of the devil or the choice of, when we say devil, being attached to the material, to the physical plane, um, you know, is, uh, is temporary. We will Our life doesn't end when we pass. We pass to another level of consciousness, another level of awareness. And we evolve, and as we evolve and we move towards more unity, more oneness, which in a way with the North Node in Pisces may be asking us to do, right? To evolve, in order to evolve, we must let go. In order to evolve, we must let go. And the 9 year, and the 9 is all about letting go. The 9 is all, it is the number of humanity. On the tree of life, it's located between the Sephiroths of Hesed, which is the blue Sephiroth here, which has the symbol of Cancer. This is the Sephiroth of Jupiter, and Jupiter is in Cancer. And we can see like just this whole like blue background with the symbol for Cancer, which kind of looks like what a spiral armed galaxy that has sort of separated itself, right? If you were to move this circle of the Cancer onto that circle, you would have the symbol for the hurricane, for the whirling dervish energy, right? Um, we have the sun. Tippereth is the Sephiroth of the sun, and the sun in this month of September is in Virgo for most of the month. And then it moves into Libra when we move into the fall here in the Northern Hemisphere, or the spring in the Southern Hemisphere. I'm sure the Southern Hemisphere is urging and irking for spring. I know they've had a very cold winter, I think, overall. It's been tough on them. So you guys will be warming up soon and we'll be cooling down, which here in America, in certain places, well, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure everywhere, there are places where they have these crazy heat waves. It'll be nice to see them break, so people can breathe and, not be baking. Oh, goodness gracious. So the 9 is located on the Tree of Life. The 9 connected to the Hermit card. Connects these two Sephiroth is here. It's the path of the Hermit. We're in a Hermit year. And because we're in the 9th month, we're also in a Hermit month. And so we're in a double Hermit energy in September. And that's going to take double the wisdom, double the wisdom. Because what comes up, and I'll come back to this, what comes up when you add the day, the month, and the year is we are in the vibration for September 2025, which is the moon. And the moon is a very emotional energy. There's going to be a lot of feelings. There's going to be a lot of feelings against authority because this month, Saturn, the planet of authority, moves into Pisces. And so, Saturn was in Aries, the dictator. Now, as it moves back into Pisces, it's like the collective has something to say about what's been dictated to us, right? You remember if you were well old enough and you'd go to typing class or you'd learn secretarial skills, and one of the skills was dictation. Write down what the boss said, right? That was like a thing. Boy, things have changed. Things have changed, and good that they have. Good that they have. So we have this 18-9 vibration, the moon card, something coming up from the surface. Things that have been hidden, sort of in the muck, are likely to rise. And one of the things that's happening very early in this month is that Jeffrey Epstein's the women who took him to court, his victims, right, are going to be talking in front of Congress. Now, I don't know if it's a closed session or it's an open session. I would have to guess it's a closed session. I don't think the Republicans would want everybody to see it unless they knew what the girls were going to say, even though they should know what the girls are going to say because it's in the documents, right? It's in the court filings. So it's that Epstein thing, I think, is not going away. Especially the 9 Yesod is located here. This is the sacral chakra. This is the sexual chakra. And so there can be that kind of energy coming up, being exposed. And the 18-9 also deals with addiction. It's path of Pisces. Um, and so there can be question, it's things look really bleak. And there are a lot of people that would rather not be here for this, and so we'll probably see a wave of that for those who can't. And if they can't, then, I don't necessarily judge that. Um, I think everybody plays a part, and it's when we start like beating ourselves up over the head over the part we played or maybe didn't play, or like, I think we just have to be a lot kinder to ourselves in general. And I think that, if we're kinder to ourselves, we're likely to be kinder to other people because we're happy. Happiness is it would be the cure of all our ills at this point, because we're all so sad. We're all so sad. And so we have to laugh and we have to cry. Jupiter is in Cancer, after all. Cancer is the crier of the zodiac, and don't I know it because I am a Cancer. We'll come back to this. I want to go back to this one because I didn't read what was here, and I think it's important. So we're in the ninth month, in the ninth year. The Sephiroth, the nine path connecting the Sephiroth of Jupiter and the Sun. Jupiter and the Sun are the two largest planetary bodies. They make up like 99.9% of the mass of the solar system. And they do think that Jupiter is actually a dormant, I think, brown star. I think that, I don't know if that's the right color, but it is a dormant star. And Jupiter is the largest, and it has the largest gravitational field, right, of any of the planets. And in a way, Jupiter acts like a vacuum cleaner that sort of sucks in a lot of particles that keeps the Earth safe, because we're in the inner planet, right? And we have that giant asteroid field around us as well. Perhaps that was some sort of cosmic thing to keep things out from too far, right? Um, I heard that there was like some sort of comet coming really close and going to be in the ionosphere of the sun or something. So there's big things happening. We can call it what we want to call it. Sometimes I think we use the language that we understand to talk about the energy, just like I talk about the energy in astrology. Other people talk the energy in like visions and pictures, that people can interpret. I mean, everybody's going to interpret the picture a little bit differently. Um, but the nine as a vibration is the number of completion, unconditional love, humanitarianism. There are children starving in the Middle East. There are children starving in Africa. There are children starving in America. There are children starving in Ukraine and Russia. And, when we have a a war happening in like the breadbasket of Europe, I mean, that affects things, right? That affects the whole line. And, I guess the question is, how bad does it have to get before we say no? And I think that people are starting to say no. No, refusing, refusing to trust anybody but their own gut, perhaps. And most people are so wounded that, you know, their guts are kind of effed up. Isn't everybody's gut in America messed up? Doesn't everybody have IBS or some sort of allergy to something that they're eating, right? Why was toilet paper like the thing that everybody hoarded? I mean, that's kind of interesting, I think. But the United States is a country full of traumatized souls. In astrology, the moon in a chart indicates the people, and we have our moon in Aquarius. Aquarius moon is often a trauma signature. We're looking for peace after chaos, and we come to America, and now we have chaos in America. But we'll come to peace. We'll come to peace. We're reinventing ourselves. We're redeciding who we are. The old, is no longer, and that's true of America. It's true of every country and every person. Like, what are people fighting for? What are we doing here? What are we doing? I don't know. That's what I think anyway. Um, so nine is the Yesod on the tree of life. Is Yesod means foundation. It's right here, the purple Sephiroth. It is the Sephiroth of the moon. It is the stability and foundation because it causes continuity of life and is a situation in as as and is situated in the generative sexual area of the Dam Kadam, the perfect man, Adam Kadam. And then we're in the 18 vibration, right? Because you have to add both nines together. The moon and the tarot. There are two eclipses in September, a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces and a new moon solar eclipse in Virgo. The moon is a Pisces card. The Hermit is a Virgo card. The eclipses are there. This is an important time. This is an important time. We are on the verge and on the edge of something very, very big. So I want to continue here and just go over a little bit of what's happening this month. Um, that's affecting. Now, I'm going to talk about everything and then I'll specifically go to the first week, hopefully, if this doesn't take too long. I apologize for the length, but I think it's important. On the 1st of September, early too, early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning here on the East Coast. Anyway, we have the Saturn ingress into Pisces. Now, Saturn's been in Aries for a while. I think it moves into Aries in April. I want to say April 26th, but I'm not sure if that's true. But it was early. It was in the like late-ish spring, right? And that was a big deal because it had been in Pisces, right? And Pisces is all this like confusion and just I don't know, just so much like so much mourning. I think people started mourning for their losses from COVID, even though I think we're certainly in better stead than we are now, but I think people were still like coming out of the sort of COVID closet and all the trauma that was worldwide. That was a worldwide trauma, wherever it started, how it started, who it started, all the other stuff. It was there to wake us up to perhaps our connection to the earth and how we have to be better to the earth and we have to work with the earth instead of, feeling like we are separate from it. I mean, really, these Silicon Valley guys, they just want to go to fucking Mars. They don't care. They want to utilize our water, our fresh water, all our electricity so they can go to Mars. They already had in the first Trump administration the two penises, who got up to, these rockets, right? It's just dick swinging on like a grand scale, and I don't know, as a woman, I'm kind of tired of that. So and as a planet, I don't, the Earth can only take so much. It takes so much abuse and disrespect. So, I feel like this is, it's a new dawn is dawn, a new dawn day is dawning, a new age is dawning. But before we get there, we have to finish things up, and Saturn moving back into Pisces. I think we'll do that. I think that's real important. On the second, Mercury ingresses into Virgo. Mercury is powerful in Virgo, but it comes up against Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, and the three transpersonals, right? Along with Saturn right before it moved in. So as Saturn as Mercury's moving from Pisces. I'm moving from Leo into Virgo. Saturn in Pisces is in conjuncting that. So that's like taking the ego down a peg, really. And then Mercury comes in, the planet of the mind, and gets inoculated with the energy of the transpersonals. On the 4th, Mars makes a square to Jupiter. Squares are always action. This is especially this one. It's a first quarter square, action oriented. Create crisis. So crisis is coming. We're going to have a crisis. There's been a lot of crises in faith, and this is, we're doubting that the people in charge can do what they need to do for us. And I think that the people are going to rise up. I think that's part of this energy. And then on the 6th, Uranus, the planet of sudden, uncontrollable, surprising events, in the sign of Messages, Gemini, stations, retrograde. And whenever the transpersonal station, it creates a lot of energy. And so there's a lot of energy in the air, along with Mars squaring Jupiter. So everybody's actions are more exaggerated. Our minds are getting like zapped by the transpersonals, which is good in a way, because what it helps us to do is like resistance is futile. Like if resistance is futile. So there's a lot of things we're just going to have to let go of. It's a double let go month, right? Okay. And then next month, we're going to be in a 1. We're going to be in a 19-1. So we get a new beginning. We take on the challenge of what needs to happen. But this September is a little bit of a different energy. And we have the eclipse on the 7th at 16 of Pisces. That's happening on a Sunday. And then it looks like nothing big is happening. Although it's, full moon of Pisces, eclipse will last 7 days. You know what I'm saying? The energy, and certainly beyond that. Although, we're not in the fixed signs necessarily. So things, there's still a little wiggle room when you're dealing with the mutables. But on Friday, we have a sextile between the Sun and Jupiter, and Mercury and Jupiter, because the Sun and Mercury are moving together. The next day, they make a conjunction. It's a superior conjunction, meaning that Mercury is not retrograde, it is direct. It's at 21 degrees of Virgo. So if you happen to have a planet at 21 degrees of Virgo, actually that's in my chart, it's opposite my moon, which is at 21 degrees of Pisces. And when the Sun and Mercury come together, it's like Mercury expresses like the heart of the Sun. And it says receptivity to collective forces. Receptivity to collective forces. A girls' basketball team. Now, this is interesting because there was a picture that Donald Trump Jr. put on. Now, I just want to be clear, I don't follow him. The only reason I know about this is because I think Keith Richards, a different guy, had on his thing, where Donald Trump Jr. was a picture of his father on top of the White House, throwing down like a lime green dildo to a group of women basketball players. So I just like that whole visual. I was just like, that looks like a same hint symbol I remember reading about, except for the dildo and the president, right? So there's this, girls basketball team girls basketball is actually getting very popular. I think it's because maybe the tickets are less expensive. It's a little slower. It's like watching more like teamwork, right? Women are very like intuitive. when women are doing things, it's very different than when men are doing things. Like something like football, where you have to just like, forge forward, bang your head till you lose your mind, quite frankly. It's very masculine. It's a very masculine thing. But basketball is much more of a feminine. And I think it's, well, I mean, football is a team sport too, but it's like drive it home, right? That's football. Get it through the goalpost. That's football. Whereas, this whole idea of getting baskets, but after, you have these people sort of interacting with people. So that I bring that up only because this is the idea of the energy as it comes to me when I look at this symbol. On the 15th, we have a sextile between Venus and Mars. Thank God we have good stuff happening here. Venus and Mars are the two planets that we relate through. And so they have a synodic cycle. It's a 2-year cycle. It started in, I want to say 2023. And I think it was at 7 degrees of Aquarius, which is an egg, a child coming out of an egg. And it was symbolic of a new evolution, like a new humanity coming to a new Prometheus, I guess. And if anybody is like maybe that's who Trump is. Maybe Trump is Prometheus, right? Uh, he brings fire to the disruptor. Anyway, sorry, that just came in and out. So we do have this sort of new energy coming in, and we're all kind of like midwives trying to birth it in, right? But we have the sextile, which is this 300-degree sextile, the waning sextile. So it brings this like this is the wisdom that I have brought forth through this experience over the last 2 years, and this is the water of wisdom, and this is the Aquarius point of the cycle. 300 degrees around a natural wheel is Aquarius. So it's the distribution of information. It's the distribution of light and life to raise all boats, to raise our vibrations, right? And so this is happening. So while, we have this guy just like poking a hole through every rule he's ever met. We also have this rising up and this, um, you know, new consciousness coming in. And so I guess the question is, where do you want your focus to lie? In what's being lost or what's possible in this sort of new consciousness. So I think, and we can't all just like jump in and go, well, yes, I'm in the new consciousness, right? Because we all have families, we all have responsibilities, but we can turn our lives in that direction so that everything that we do and say and move towards is an affirmation of the world that can be. It's optimism, right? I mean, I think that was what sold everybody on Barack. He was optimistic. He was optimistic. And what sold people on Trump is they feel like they are being ignored. And to a large part they were. And now he's ignoring them. And so people are going to come to each other. On the 17th, which is a Wednesday, Mercury opposes Saturn. And then Mercury goes into Libra. Now, remember when Mercury moved into Virgo, it got inundated by those transpersonals. It happens again when it goes into the next sign, only these are a little bit friendlier aspects. We do have the opposition to Saturn right before it moves into Libra. Saturn, of course, is in Pisces now. And that Saturn Mercury opposition shows the lines, shows where the limit is. This may also indicate limit coming to somebody. Somebody is limited. Mercury ingressing into the sign of justice. In conjuncting on that day, Libra, Venus in conjunct Saturn. Libra is a Venus ruled sign. So there's an interaction between Venus and Saturn and Neptune and Mercury, sort of maybe even new and more compassionate um, rules around how we'll treat each other, right? Let's be kinder to each other. On the 19th, Mercury trines Uranus, trines Pluto, and then Venus ingresses into Virgo and goes through the same thing that Mercury went through. So in a way, with an inconjunct to Neptune, a square from Uranus, and an inconjunct to Pluto, it's almost as if Mercury goes first, right? Mercury goes first and informs Venus, and Venus, because Mercury goes first, Venus isn't moving in the dark here. Venus is having the information to go in. This also is sort of symbolic of the women, the Epstein women coming in and testifying in front of Congress. They get to say their piece. They get to speak their truth, have their voice heard by somebody. Hopefully it's everybody, but if it's enough somebody's where it matters and it's going to move the needle, then I think it's good. You know, we've been so inundated with being attacked that it's hard to sometimes evaluate whether you're losing ground or you're holding ground or you're making ground. And I would say we're holding and starting to move forward on a lot of stuff. So and I'm not talking about like just Trump being like the enemy of the people or anything like that, which may not be true. I'll go with probably, but he says we have to get the enemy within. The enemy within. There is no enemy. There's no enemy. You're okay. We're all okay. We're all good. We're all love. The enemy within is the judging, the one who that voice in our head that judges us to be anything but lovable and deservable of love. That's that's it. We don't have to hedge our bets anymore. We can know that we're loved. Um, we won't need hedge fund guys, right? Isn't that what they do? On the 21st, the sun opposes Saturn, and then we have a new moon. So right before the moment of the new moon, we have Saturn opposing the sun, and the sun is the center of the solar system, and Saturn is the edge. Past Saturn, we need telescopes to see the other planets, or there has to be, in the case of Uranus, has to be very specific in a place on along the horizon, and has to be extraordinarily clear sky to see it. So, most of us won't want to see Uranus with our naked eye. But we'll see Saturn. We can't see Saturn and all the rest of the planets from Saturn inward. And so from the sun to Saturn, those are all the visible planets. So what we're being shown is the visible um, boundary. Like this is as far as you can go. And then we have the solar eclipse in Virgo. Faith in oneself is required to trust the inner voice of truth. I'll look at the Sabian symbol for it, so we'll have a better idea of what that means. Monday, the 22nd, Mars ingresses into Scorpio. Mars likes being in Scorpio, but it's gone into a new sign. So what's going to happen? Those transpersonals are going to come in and do something to Mars, and also do something to the Sun moving in Libra. Now Mars is in conjunct. Now Mars now in Scorpio. Scorpio is an energy of making adjustments anyway. Moves into this in conjunct to Neptune. That could be misguided energy or confused energy, or you have to somehow create more to fine tune the energy with that, along with the Sun making an opposition to Neptune. Remember, Neptune is now at the first degree of Aries, And then it makes a trine to Uranus, and then the next day a trine to Pluto. So we have a grand trine with the Sun and Uranus and Pluto. Mars is in conjunct Uranus and square Pluto. So there's the Sun and then there's Mars. They're being they're being hit by the same planets, but in different ways. In different ways. And so this really is going to be a, a a month of adjustments, big adjustments. Um, Along with, Mercury being Saturn being in Pisces, this sense of having to finish, um, this is it. Like we have to, the dirty laundry has to come out. And this Pisces energy, is Saturn and Pisces goes back to like the 90s when Saturn was in Aries. That's the zodiacal cycle from Aries through Pisces. We got a little like dip into Aries, but we have a lot of stuff that still needs to be revealed. And this month is going to be a big revelation. In fact, on September 1st, as Saturn enters Pisces, we have illumination. We have the sun. The sun. And so where's the sun? The sun's at 10 degrees of Virgo. 10 degrees of Virgo. Uh, how do we need to adjust our ego? Saturn re-enters Pisces and spends the entire month at the 30th degree. 30th degree is the gray stone face, becoming what you idealize. Keep that in mind, guys. What person do you want to be? And who reflects that back to you? Who are your heroes? Who are your heroines? Right? Saturn is retrograde from the 30th degree to the 26th degree in Pisces. So its retrograde period goes back 4 degrees into the sign. It goes direct on November 28th at 26 degrees of Pisces, and remains in Pisces until February 14th, Valentine's Day, interestingly enough. And on that day, freedom of choice. Civilization demands conformity, but the soul requires freedom to choose what comes next, exercising your free will. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? On the second, we have, I wanted to put this up because I wanted to show you what these planets moving into these first degrees of the signs are up against. Here's Mercury moving into Virgo, Sabian symbol, a man's head, learning what is significant, learning discernment, really. The way in which we are unique can be best understood by grasping the significance of exactly where we are and why. Learning what is significant in our lives. This is self-knowledge. This is self-knowledge. This vibration of this day is the judgment, the awakening. The awakening. People are waking up. Mercury is the planet of the mind. And we have this Yod configuration to Mercury. We have a trine from the moon. We have a square from Uranus, which is trining Jupiter, which is in conjuncting Neptune and Saturn in their conjunction. Black Moon Lilith is making a trine to Jupiter, is making a trine to the North Node. This is feminine energy, big feminine energy moving in the direction of Pisces, helping, aiding the sixth, helping those who need help. The mothers are on the front line here. The mothers being strong. Capricorn. And we have the lunar eclipse. I'm going to be doing a moon shine episode with Ona this week for this moon. So you'll hear from us or, what we say about the moon on for that. But here, um, we have the vibration of the 25/7. That's the Knight of Wands, the proselytizer, somebody who goes on an adventure. There's a little hesitancy here. It's just rearing up, trying to get a perspective. This takes a lot of courage. This takes a lot of courage to face what we are facing. And we can do it. We can do it. We just have to believe we can. The power of belief is powerful. Pisces is about belief. Um, but more about like what's in your heart belief, because all the nights come from Tippereth on the tree of life, the heart, the heart chakra, Sephiroth. But and the nights are all about the action of love through their element. And the action of love through their element is to give people something to believe in. Give people something to believe in. What do we believe about ourselves? What do we think is capable? Not what do we think we're going to get, but what do we think that we're capable of attaining? And how are we going to get there? We got to get there through communication. I mean, Tippereth on the tree of life is the center of the tree, all Sephiroth attached to Tippereth. It's like Grand Central Station for the tree of life. Save for Malkuth. Malkuth has to come through the moon. And we have this eclipse of the moon. And so this is a powerful time of sort of drawing down the moon, drawing down the forces from the heavenly realms to attend to the earth. And here, this is for the U.S., and I apologize for those of you not from the U.S. This is a Washington, D.C. chart, and we have the South Node in the ninth house with the Sun and Mercury there, and we have the North Node in the third house. In Pisces, we have Saturn here, of course. This is with an orb of conjunction, not quite conjunct. I mean, it has been, but Saturn is never going to they're moving in opposite directions. So they're sort of like kissing, like kissing. But I think that this Saturn retrograde in Pisces and then direct in Pisces and then out of Pisces is really going to be us dumping a lot of things that really we don't really need anymore. Hopefully one of those things is the need to be a victim, because without the need to be a victim, there are no victims, right? Victim consciousness has gotten into this mess to a certain extent, right? We have this lovely trine of Jupiter and Black Moon Lilith here, making grand, there should be a blue line here, right? Grand trine. This is aid and comfort. This is women. This could be the military coming to your neighborhood, but it can also be to help and aid the neighborhoods. We have Venus up here in Leo. And this is an eclipse, so we're letting go of need to be perfect, perhaps, and moving into forgiveness, faith. The moon at 16 of Pisces, the Sabian symbol, 416 of Pisces. In the quiet of his study, a creative individual experiences a flow of inspiration, finding grace in stillness. Here's your flow of this grand trine. There's a flow of inspiration. of love and suffering and easing the suffering and feeling the feelings and hearing the cries of the children, hearing the cries of the children. An important part of our life practice is to find inner peace, connect here and now with the eternal everywhere. And then the sun in Virgo says the symbol is an orangutan. I know what you're thinking. The wildness within us. It is futile and counterproductive to ignore that we all have a wild beast within, with which we must come to terms, rebalancing of inner primal forces. So this is a balance between the spirit and the body, the earth and heaven, heaven and earth, heaven on earth. And we're here to witness it. We're here to be part of it. We are conduits of this change. And I guess I'll show you this. This is the eclipse of the 21st. I just want to bring it up. This is the new moon, just to kind of show it to you. The day happens to be the Knight of Cups. This is the 37-1 vibration in the tarot, and the wound of Donald Trump is this vibration. It's also very much seen as a Joe Biden card, right? So we have that energy here. But it's this sort of nurturing, masculine energy that sometimes has anger issues. We have a partial solar eclipse at 30 of Virgo. Totally intent upon completing an immediate task. A man is deaf to any allurement. Penetrative concentration of attention. The sun and the moon are at this degree, guys. So you have to pay attention to something. Having journeyed far and wide to the gate of the secret garden, we must strike boldly and not be distracted by anything in any realm, rejecting the false through unusual power of concentration. This is about visualizing the world that you want to see and taking steps to get there. They don't have to be big steps, they can be small steps. It's about intention. It's powerful. Now we're in this solar eclipse is in the 39-3 vibration. Oh, did I say king? The Knight of Cups. This is the Knight of Cups. So this is the act of love. This is, we had believing and now we have loving. So I think this is going to be a very incredible eclipse season, a big release, a big let go. And we just don't, we don't have a choice. We just kind of have to let it go and uh, and maybe live in our imaginations for a little while, imagining the world we want to see. It does work. That does work. We have control. And when you open up to spirit, which is always more inclusive and always better for all instead of just one, um, you're doing you're doing your work. You're lighting the way. Um, we also have a yod here to Mars. Mars is about ready to actually move into Scorpio at this point, right? I talked about that. And it's being sort of, when you have these yods, like we had one here. We had this yod, but you notice there's nothing in the yod over here. So it's a yod, but there's nothing like moving it forward. It's irritating, and eventually you get there, but sometimes there's like a real like impetus, and that is Chiron in Aries, the wounded masculine, the wounded identity, um, opposite the law, really. So this is it's going to be an interesting September for sure. And I want to say thank you for listening. I know I kept you way longer than I probably should have. Hopefully, hopefully you got what you needed and it wasn't too much. You can always go on. Okay, I don't remember how to stop the share. Um, you can always just, I think maybe I'll put some timestamps. So if you want to just listen to the astrology or whatever, but yeah, we're facing quite a month, guys. And we did last night on Mystic Sisters, I did we both did readings for September. Ona did it week by week, and I just did a general reading. And yeah, there's a lot of things going to be coming up, and um, but there's, I saw something on what's happening in Minneapolis, that they wanted to open the church so people could pray and people could be together because of the loss in the Catholic Church of those two little boys and 17 people. And then the shooter, that's a tragedy as well. His family will never be the same. I can imagine the tragedy on all sides. Nobody wins in that kind of tragedy. It's a scream, a yell for help. Do we have to kill people to be seen? Do we have to kill people to be met to matter? We have to take care of our children. We have to show them that they matter. We have to show each other that we matter. We have to show the child within that we matter. Love is just such a beautiful and healing force. And if we do nothing else, just love one another. Just love them from afar. You don't have to like be in their life every day. Loving somebody doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have them in your life, but you can send them good thoughts and that, you know. It's going to be an interesting ride. I'll see you on Moonshine with Ona. I'll see you on Mystic Sisters next week. It's on Ona's channel. And I'll maybe try to get some card readings out this week. Um, I do have a class coming up, my Kabbalah class on the 11th. That's going to go for 6 weeks. Um, but so if you want to you can still get in on that if you'd like. I'll leave a link below. Well, that's Story Morning Glories. I want you to have a good night. Don't worry too much about September. You're going to be in the right place at the right time. You're going to be where you need to be. Live your life. Stay open to the possibilities. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your family. You don't want anything. So you don't want to have regrets. It's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting adventure. If we can kind of look at it that way, I think we'd be better off, even though it's going to be hard. But anything I've ever gotten that was worth having was hard to get. So, all right, guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you for sticking with me. Um, I got your back, and I'm a chiropractor, so that's a good thing. Um, the community is here for you. The readers, the Onas, the Susans, the Mary Anns, the Lenas, the Petty Boots crowd, gang. We're all trying to figure it out. There's so many good people out there trying to help. Um, it's a beautiful miracle. So let's keep up the good work. Let's keep shining the light, guys. Shining the light. All right. Much love. Namaste.